All right. Namaste and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Health and Education Seminar that we have today. It is a plant-based healing with Ayurveda. I am Dipti Desai, Chicago Chapter Coordinator of Seva International. Seva International is a nonprofit organization, and we are grateful to Schaumburg Township District Library for working with us in bringing up this wonderful session that will be conducted by Dipti Ji Suri. A brief introduction of Dipti Ji. She is a NAMA board certified Ayurveda practitioner, and she got her certification in 2016 from International University of Yoga and Ayurveda, Florida. She did her rotation training in India. Dipti Ji has a family background. As she was growing up, she learned to practice Ayurveda, plant-based, especially plant-based healing from her mother. And as she came here later in her life, when she had family dealing with food allergies, she turned to Ayurveda and firmly believes that food is the best medicine. She is also a yoga practitioner and has been teaching yoga since past 38 years. She practices in Hinsdale, Illinois, and has graciously accepted Seva International's invitation to present today for the Schaumburg Library. Before I hand it over to Dipti Ji, I just want to let everyone know that if you do have any questions, please post it on chat. And as time allows, we will be addressing and making sure that we will try to address all the questions that we receive. If we do run out of time, you can hang on. We will, for additional 5 or 10 minutes, we will try to cover as many questions as possible. If you do not have a question and you would like to drop off, that's fine too. So Dipti Ji, handing it over to you. Welcome and thank you so much.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to this unique webinar. Thanks to Sangeeta Ji at the Schaumburg Library and Dipti Ji at Seva to bring this unique presentation, which is these days, it's a need for our life. So as I've already been introduced, so I would like to start my presentation. Sangeeta Ji, it's not going forward. It has got...
Hit escape, get out of the slideshow mode and see if that works.
From the beginning, let's see if I can do that.
Okay, go on to the...
Okay, it's working. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So welcome everyone. So we have an hour and I'm going to talk about all things plant-based, and all this wisdom has come from the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda. So whatever I'm talking about might be pretty new to many of you, but it's a very common knowledge in Indian subcontinent, and our life, our culture, our traditions are built based on these principles. So today we are going to give a brief intro of Ayurveda, and not to delve too much into it, but we will also talk about how Western medicine, the modern medicine is different, and how Ayurveda is different from each other. I'll try to give a very brief comparison and explain about it. And if needed, if we have time, I will talk about some of the case studies that I have done here in Hinsdale at Ayurveda. So whenever I talk about Ayurveda, Ayurveda, people say, Ayurveda who, what? So it is a new word. It's said as Ayur with the R, Veda. And it's a thousands of year old Indian scientific and medicinal practice. It's based on the belief that health hinges on striking the perfect balance between body, mind, and spirit. So Ayur means life, Veda means knowledge. So it is a science of life, science of longevity. And many times you will feel that I am reading from the script because it is so many times that I've spoken that I have kind of written what I memorized. And in this, what happens is like, you see when you want to become a doctor, you go to a college and you be there for maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you learn that. But in Ayurveda, it was taught from one guru or a parent or mother or a father to the child. So it passed from generation to generation based on the guru and disciple method, or within the families. The families will be training their children to become Ayurvedic practitioners. Just like a weaver's child will become a weaver because the child has seen how the weaving is done, or a potter's child who sees the pottery being made and becomes exceptionally and has great dexterity to create pottery. The same way, Ayurveda also, because you learn it as a child, so your experience is a little more. And that is what has happened to me too. Like, I grew up in different parts of this planet. And my mom being a Vaidya, Vaidya is a terminology given to people who practice this medicine system. Instead of doctors, we are called Vaidyas. But in modern Indian, people do go to colleges, Ayurveda colleges, and they do wear white coats and they do become doctors. But I have not followed that path. I have followed the family traditional path. So what happens in Ayurveda? And why am I talking about Ayurveda when I'm talking about plant-based medicine? So in Ayurveda, most of the medicines are made either with the roots of the plants or the bark of the plant or the whole plant, leaves, fruits, in one form or the other. Most of the medicines are made with these plants. And they are made in the form of powders. They are made in form of medicated water. They are made in form of oils. Once again, oils come from plants, and no, not mineral oils, because some of the oils are mineral oils and there is some chemical that is added to the medicines. That is not in this at all. So apart from plants, there's one thing which is very commonly used, two things very, very commonly used in Ayurvedic system or plant-based method. It is ghee. Ghee is nothing but a butter is made from the cow's milk or a buffalo milk or a camel's milk. The butter is made in a very specific method, and then it is melted. So clarified butter is called ghee. And now this ghee gets impregnated with the herbal waters or powders, and it becomes medicated ghee. And then that is from animals. And many times the medicine is given mixed with honey. So once again, it's not plant-based. And a lot of minerals are used. If you notice that rock salt, that is a very common ingredient in Ayurveda. Different kinds of rock salts are used to help heal, or those salts are used for therapies. And many of the minerals which comes from the rock formations, and in between the rock formations, such as shilajit, it's a extremely health booster, immunity booster, strength rejuvenator kind of a mineral that is found, and that is also used in Ayurveda. So 95% of the things are plant-based, and rest all are maybe honey, ghee, or some of the minerals. So now let's talk a little bit about it. In this system, symptoms are not treated. Ayurveda practitioner has to identify the cause of that ailment, and that cause is treated. So first, I'll give you an example. As you can read, for hypoactive thyroid, we try to understand what specific imbalance in diet, lifestyle, or pattern are causing the condition. And if we correct the cause of that condition that is causing it, it is healed. So in this, all the bodies, like if you have fever, you take Tylenol. Everybody takes Tylenol or Motrin, and it is nothing that I'm from India, so I'll have a Tylenol A. You're from some other country, so you have B. Or I'm Indian, so I have an A. Or if you're African American or a Caucasian, you have B. So, or you're bigger in body, so you have something specific. Tylenol is Tylenol. But in Ayurveda, it is not like that. Body is divided in 10 different kinds. And each specific body has everything different. When should they sleep? What they should eat? What medicine they should take? When should they take? It is very different. So I've been studying Ayurveda ever since I was a kid, but I tell you, I still feel I know nothing about it. And before these kind of presentation, I really sweat and I get worried because you know the feeling right before the exam, you know nothing. I go through that every time I have to talk to anyone about Ayurveda because it's such a vast subject. So now coming back to this, now suppose if you come to me or you go to Ayurveda practitioner, we just don't see you for 10 minutes. The first time you come to me, I'm going to spend an hour or two with you. I will get your history. I will find out how and where were you born, what number child or sibling you are, where were you born, when did you first get your periods if you're a woman, and if you're a man, many things are considered in it. And I will also talk about when do you go to bed, when do you eat, when do you pee, when do you poop, all kinds of things has very important aspect of collecting the data. And then we decide like what kind of body you have. Because many times the body might show that you are of that kind of body, but the imbalance has become so much that you are no more what the body type you were when you were born. So preparation of medicine from plant sources are performed ritualistically by highly trained Vaidyas. Making medicines, I'm calling it a medicine. It's not the right term for this, but for a lack of a better word, the Sanskrit terminology is aushadhi. And when you learn to make it, you learn as you're a kid. I remember when I was 3-4 years old, my mom will make me sit with a small mortar and pestle, and I'll be pounding on to tiny little seeds or tiny little powder, or I'll be making tiny little packets. And I know from the smell what it is and what it is. Maybe I do not know the name of it, but I know what it is given for. So these kind of things have been there. These are classical formulas. They were prepared thousands of years ago. What was written by Charaka, we still follow it. So those method of preparation, those medications or those aushadhis are called classical formula. And they're open. It's an open knowledge. You buy a book and anybody can make that. And then we use trees and plants and we make extracts out of it. And we give it. Like suppose nowadays, a lot of juice extraction is very common. And what we do, we catch hold of whatever we find, whatever appeals to us. We'll take a kale, we'll take a cilantro leaves. We will also take a zucchini. If you get very creative, you'll add cucumber or some berries into it, and you will make your own yum combination. It is not done like that. You have to know which plant is good for you in which season. Only then you should be taking those leaves or berries and using them. And I'm going to talk more about it. So in Ayurveda, there are different terminology for it, but I will try to give you the English translation of it, such as there is powders. So they are called churnas, and liquid is called kashaya. If they are jam and jelly, they are called lehyams. And we give them for eating. We give it to apply it on your skin, on your scalp, or the affected body part. Those medications are given in the form of drinking. Sometimes when you have head and throat, like above shoulder conditions, so it is given through the nose, especially if you have any kind of mental issue, the port of entry for the medication is nose. And you might have known that when people smoke, you smoke through your mouth, right? And it goes into your lungs and things happen. But many of the plants are rolled into a leaf or powder, and the smoke is created along with the clarified butter, and we burn it. And when the smoke comes, the person is supposed to inhale through the nose and take it up high. So the smoke method is also used. So in our culture, we use a lot of incense. You know, the incense was started based on these therapies. The herb was taken, made into a paste, wrapped around specific stick. But now what happens? They just find some fragrance and some kind of paste, some kind of bamboo stick, and there goes, oh, it smells good. Smoke is going on, and here's my incense. Incense was not used like that. Traditional incense were medicinal. They were used for a specific purpose, because when you inhale through your nose and your mouth, it goes to your lungs right away, through that into your bloodstream, and it gives the benefit. So incense had a purpose, but nowadays not that. So let's talk about how are we dividing these body types. But before that, Deepti, do we have any question, or does anybody have question that we can take so far?
No, Diptiji, there are no questions right now.
Okay. So let's go a little bit into it. Like, how are we making these body types? Like, what is the basis of this body type? So in Ayurveda, it says that there are 5 elements in this world. They are called Panchamahabhutas. So, which is ether, air, fire, water, and earth. And the combination of these makes specific body types. And so let's see, if we combine ether and air, Vata comes into, which is based on all kinds of air and ether. Anything to do with mind, skin will be based on Vata. Now, if you mix fire and air, then you have Pitta. And if you mix water and earth, then you have kapha. So remember, Vata, Pitta, kapha. So these are new words for most of you. So these are the kind of 3 doshas or 3 types of dosha. I don't have English word for it, but there are 3 different things: Vata, Pitta, and kapha. And no one is just one of those. We are combination of these 3. Many times we have combination of 2. Most of the time it's a combination of 2. And many times you do see that it's a combination of 3 different kinds. So now let's see, as I had already mentioned, that the space and air makes Vata, fire and water makes Pitta, and earth and water makes kapha. So now, how do these bodies look like? Like, I look kapha, right? I'm strongly built, and if you look at the picture, you will see that kapha body is large and heavy. Pitta body is of medium proportions, and Vata body is lean and lanky. And there is no particular body type which is good or better than the others. So body shaming for kapha because you're fat and big like an elephant, well, you need that strength when needed to. So you cannot shame an elephant when the deer is standing next to it. Deer has its own purpose. Elephant or bison has its own purpose, right? So no, nothing is better or worse than each other. So going to the next now, how do we in Ayurvedic healing focuses on balancing doshas? Our health is affected when our doshas are not in balance. So the food that we eat, the lifestyle that we have, it is going to affect your body. And it is going to either keep it in balance or go out of balance, and that's when the disease happens. Whenever this dosha goes out of balance according to your body type, you will see manifestation of disease. And if you ignore it and let it spread around, it is going to be a little difficult to treat and or give any therapies for. And so in Ayurvedic therapies, whatever we are doing based on identifying the imbalances and what is causing that. For these body types, now I'm going to talk about, have you noticed a person who's constantly eating salads, constantly rushes for a glass full of ice? That person is lean and lanky and eating salads, cold food, which this person should not be doing. So we need to understand how the taste, there are 6 tastes that majority are identified in Ayurveda, and we are going to talk a little bit about it. So these 6 tastes are sweet, sour, pungent, bitter, astringent, and salty. So let's see, I'll give you a little bit of description here about the Vata type. You can also see it on the screen, and as I talk about. So these Vata type of bodies are lean, lanky, they walk very fast, they talk very fast, and they have sudden, this will be the person in your office will say, let's go do this and this and this, they start, and all of a sudden you see the energy level is gone. So that is your typical Vata body in your office. So often this person has dry skin, very thin hair, and most of the time the hands and feet are cold. You will always see this person wearing gloves and constantly sitting like this because it has problem with the cold temperatures. And It will try to bump up the temperature of the house or the building wherever this person is, whereas people like me will be having the feeling of a hot flash because we cannot tolerate this heat. And now what kind of things, if it goes, vata goes out of balance, what happens? So when vata goes, or the air and ether goes out of balance in a body, you will notice the person feels the skin is getting flaky. Insomnia happens, depression happens, stress is not handled by these people if it goes out of balance. So for those type of thing, there is a way to correct and balance it. At that time, we are going to give this person, because it's very air and flaky, we are going to put some weight on it. Give them potato soup, or give them a little bit of butter oil into that potato soup, so that they feel grounded, because they're flying with that. And because it is dry, light, cool, rough, subtle, and mobile, we have to bring some heaviness into it. And how do you do that? We use sweet, sour, and salty food to do that. These people should be avoiding bitter, but these are the people who drink a lot of bitter drinks, and they will be adding bitters, asking the bartender to add bitters to their drinks, whereas they should not be doing. And they also love very spicy wings or spicy fried foods, and those kind of things they will be doing. Moving on to the next type of the body, which is Pitta type of the body. And usually they are kind of our ideal. They are not too big, not too thin. They are not too tall, not too short. And one thing is for sure, though they look so perfectly balanced bodies, they have a great appetite. People who are inhaling through all the buffets, it's your Pitta body working. I know after this presentation, all of us are going to be judging the body. That's what I do. People say, don't judge others. Well, this is my profession. I have to constantly judge people. In a crowd, I'm saying, is it a Vata person going around or a Pitta person going around? What is going on with that? So Pitta people, though they are kind of a balanced kind of thing, they also have their own issues. Like they will have rashes, burning in the skin. They might have acidity. Many times, and also they will be the first one to jump into the pool if it's a pool party, because they do feel things to be very hot all the time. So the sour, salty, pungent foods are going to increase Pitta, and excess intake of these three tastes is going to create imbalance, and you will see the manifestation of disease if you keep adding those kind of diet to it. To balance that, add sweet. Eat sweets, not the commercially made sweets. Make sweets at home. Use little bit of bitter and astringent in your diet. Coming to the kapha body. So remember, I said you are never one dosha. You are always a combination of these three. Now, these people, kaphas, are your sweetest person in your family, in your workplace, wherever you go. They are the people who make things. You will like to give them a hug. They love giving you a hug. They keep the bond together. They are the people who do a great organizing thing. They do not look for accolades and laurels when they do things. They have very good sleep. They are not bothered by little things here and there. I mean, nothing bothers. Like imagine an elephant walking around and dogs barking, flies swishing, grasshoppers bothering them. They just do this and walk away. So when they have perfect balance, then they will be healthy, they're sweet, they're nice. But when it goes out of balance, you will feel the bloating, you will feel people gain weight. They have the tendency to gain weight. Pitta and Vata might be eating, not show any weight gain. Kapha opened its mouth or had 2 glasses of water, weight gain. So they also have fluid retention. When a kapha goes out of whack, allergies will be seen. So they have allergies, they have breathing problems. And when kapha becomes imbalanced, they start getting the impurities or bad things from vata. So they do get depressed. So you will notice the person who did a great job organizing your office parties or things at home, events at home, at some point they do get depressed because now their kapha has gone out of balance. So to do that, they should be eating bitter, pungent, and astringent food. But what increases kapha? sweet, sour, and salty food. And knowing I'm kapha, I love sweets. I can put my face into a chocolate cake. At one point, I knew all the locations where the best chocolate cake was served. But then I realized that it's not good for me and I had to quit sugar. With that went away the chocolate cake too. So this is a graph of what I'm talking about, like what increases what. So if you notice, I have added everything which is almost plant-based. So honey is not plant-based, as I had mentioned. So sweet, how does this sweet? The elements are here is earth and water. Honey, rice, sugar, fruit. So just look at this chart, study it, read it. I've already spoken a bit about it, what increases what dosha. So before I go to the next part and what we need to do with and how do we do it, do you have any question that I can answer?
We do have one question, Dipti ji. And I lost that question. Whoever asked that question, can you please retype your question? I'm sorry.
I did get it. I think I can read it.
Okay, can you read it?
It's from Govinda Pai. It says, as soon as you say Ayurveda, people talk about ghee, milk, and honey. And it is integral part of it, but they do not talk about plant-based diet. But Ayurveda is mostly plant-based diet. Everything is plant-based. And just like if you notice, like we had COVID shots, right? COVID shots were taken and the medicine was created, a fake virus was created. But how do you take that virus and how do you send it to the whole body? The matter where that medicine was created, where will it go? What will hold that medicine? There was a huge research and science behind it. Thousands of scientists have come together to find out what kind of matter we use so that that fluid can hold this medicine. So this is just, it happened and the research happened very quickly. So I'm giving you this reference. In the same way, if you want the benefit of turmeric, and if you do not use milk and ghee with it, it will not stay in your system for more than 3 hours. But if you want to get the benefit of turmeric, it has to stay in your system for 8 hours. And how will that happen? By only using one specific like coconut oil, ghee, or milk. Only then it will stay in your system and it will give you benefit. Otherwise, it will just go through your system. Now, so these kind of honey, now many of the medicines are mixed into the honey because according to Ayurveda, we have different channels and different channel needs different matter to hold on to those qualities of the herbs, plant parts of the plants like stems or fruits. It has to get into it so that it can become a carrier of that medicine to reach that specific part of the body where we are going to reach that medicine. I see one more question. Let's see. Is that, I think we already did that. So if you do not have any more question, I'll move on to the next one.
Dipti ji, that one question just came in. Do kapha, pitta, and vata affect teenagers too?
We are born with that. When you're born, you are born with this 60% of your body doshas. The rest of the 40% depends on your lifestyle and eating habit, where you're born, how you're doing. So if you're an Indian, you will know, in old times, they used to make your astrological chart. And in that, it used to be a long, like 3-4 yard full of rolled thing used to give you. In that, this astrologer will talk about what year would be harmful, what kind of disease could come. It will talk about that, oh, you need to watch your mind. Or so this is predetermined. You're born with those doshas. So teenagers, of course, they by the time they're teenagers, they even very nicely, they imbalance it because, boy, we need a whole series of webinars on dealing with teenagers, because they're a very different species. And sometimes I feel I was never a teenager because they're such a unique thing. Or maybe I was and I did not realize, and my mom knew about it. I wish I can ask questions. So yes, teens or kids, babies are born with the doshas. They have come with their own body types. How you feed them. Now, I'll tell you, the babies are born. One baby is born in a family with a lot of resources. So this baby is eating all kinds of food. The mother is eating very rich food and the baby becomes heavy. The same thing, same place, the baby is born at exactly the same time, same body constitution, but the mother doesn't have good diet. The baby doesn't get enough breast milk, or for some reason, the conditions where the baby is more prone to malnutrition or infections. The same kind of body is now having develop an imbalance. So it depends where the child is born and how the surrounding things are. But you can always go back to your basic dosha by eating the right food. Let me see if it is relevant question here. Yes, we are going to sharing. I think library will be sending you the recording as well. Okay, moving on. So according to Ayurveda, if you have any kind of disease, you will notice that it has its roots in some sort of imbalance in your body. Something has happened. And Ayurveda also believes that you can reset your body. Like this is the time I'm fasting. So this time I'm not doing water fasting. I wanted to do it, but I got some flu. And because of the flu, I was put onto some very strong antibiotic, and that really took off my fasting regimen, because you don't just jump into water fasting. In Ayurveda, Langana Chikitsa, which is fasting in English, at autophagy is talked about. The Nobel Prize was given to the Japanese scientists in 2016, how if you fast, you can actually clean your body. And by fasting, the body goes on autophagy and it first eats the broken chain of proteins. And if you have starting of any disease, body takes care of it. So the lifestyle we design in such a way, this is the time when the season changes. This is the time for fasting. You're not supposed to fast when it's like 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside and you're fasting. That's not the right time for fasting. And you don't fast when it is too cold. You're going to create an imbalance in your body. So fasting is recommended, and it's part of Indian culture during spring and fall. It comes twice a year when the seasons are changing. Most of the religions, they do fasting. And according to Hindu religion, it is done twice for 9 days. And if you want to know more, maybe someday we'll do a presentation on fasting and how you can do that. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of routine for what you should do during springtime. I'm going to come about how food is your medicine. I'm going to come to it. So please hold on. So according to Ayurveda, the most important time to sleep is between 10 and 4. That is the time when body builds immunity. That is the time your body is working as a janitor. It is removing all the toxins. And if you do not sleep and keep doing other things, you all understand, if you're using that time by moving your body and not letting it rest, what will happen? The energy will be directed into the action that you're doing at that part of the night or day. So go to bed early to bed, early to rise. Everybody knows about it. So Ayurveda recommends that. Ayurveda also says which type of the body should wake up at what time. Mostly kapha should be waking up before 6 a.m. Pitta can sleep till 7. Vata can sleep till 8 or things like that. Vata needs more, because Vata people who are lean and lanky, they have the worry ministry. They hold the worry ministry. There's a ministry that they hold. They worry about themselves, their kids, their family, their neighbors, their schools, everybody. So if we ever made a ministry of worries, Vata will be the chief minister of that, the secretary of worrying. So now in the morning, what you should do, you woke up and what do? Take the phone and start checking who wrote what and get mad? No. First thing that you do, keep your eyes closed, rub your palms and press on your eyes, rotate your neck, each way. Like, there's now they also, so there is a method to do it. Many people, we just do this, we touch the ground, we bend down, we bend this way, we bend this way. We do a lot of action. And now Western science talks of the significance of it. What are we doing at that time? We are activating the vagus nerve. So these little actions that we were forced to do as children are because it was a practice in Ayurveda, and our families, our Indian subcontinent, it is a way of life because Ayurveda was way of life. It is deeply into the culture, community, society, religion. It has taken all forms so that the body has to be kept healthy. So you stretch, you go, you brush your teeth. First thing that you do is you brush your teeth. Apart from brushing your teeth, Ayurveda insists that you scrape your tongue. And you can brush your teeth with plastic brushes. Even I have a plastic brush. I haven't been able to find any other one. Growing up, we used to have neem, and we used to take a stone and beat the front, and we used to do it. And our toothpaste was not a toothpaste. It used to be a powder, and my mom used to make it at home. So I have all 32 teeth, and so far so good. I don't want to jinx it. So you brush your teeth, scrape your tongue. And then if you are Pitta and Vata, have you heard about oil pulling? So you take specific oil based on your body type and you squish that oil and you spit it out. So what it does, you must have heard about flossing. Oil does the flossing and beyond because it pulls out all the toxins that are building in between your gums. You do that. Right after that, jump into the shower. Take a just 2-minute shower. If you do not, and please do not use all those fancy, expensive soaps and shampoos because it has all kinds of toxins in it. I do not recommend it. Keep apple cider vinegar in your bathroom. Keep a washcloth. Just pour a little bit, rub it on your body. You are not working in an oil factory. You're not working on an auto industry. So you do not have any grease on your body. You don't need to remove it all the way. All you need is a little bit of washcloth, and you just do it with apple cider vinegar, comes from plants, and you can keep your body free of all kinds of toxins. After that, apply the oils that are specific to your body type, and do not use mineral oil. That baby oil that you are not talking about, we have been using on all the babies. What a disservice. I used it too. I did not listen to my mom. This mineral, it's mineral oil. It's not baby oil. It's purely mineral oil. And we very happily put it on our babies, which is the worst thing that we can do because skin was eating in those days. So a little bit about the diet. Now, what can you do? The spring is coming. How many of you are ready to eat fall food like apple cider vinegar or like apple cider or those heavy fruits and all those casseroles? We are not in a mood for that anymore. Our body already doesn't want it. Like I remember I come from a region which is a desert, and this desert is called Thar. It spreads between Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. And when it gets very cold, we use pearl millet, and we use it extensively, and we do not use any kind of wheat or rice at that time. We just use this millet because it's very heavy, and it really helps us to sustain those bitter cold because we don't have heating, and it really gets very cold. It's very windy. It rains in those times. So that millet is the best at that time. And then comes change of season. So now we will be fasting, and after fasting, we'll gradually eat something very light. So in this, make lighter soup, which has a little bit of bitter. I'm not saying bitter, you go to bitter melon and things like that. You can have arugula, you can have kale, you can have bok choy, you can have, a lot of all cruciferous vegetables are good. So if you add it with more water, it will be very good. You can season it with all kinds of onion and garlic, which will, onion and garlic, when you combine, it is a very good antiviral. So my dad was in army. He was with also UN Army, and he used to have big armies marching because those were the tumultuous days. And whenever one person felt sick, the first thing that these used to do, and I don't know how many of you know what is a barrack. Barrack is a long dorm kind of a place where everybody sleeps together. So they will cut red onion into two and keep it at different places. And that it was believed that it doesn't let the flu spread. So if you start eating red onion, it is really good for you to fight all kinds of all kinds of allergies that will start now. Another wonderful thing that you can do, and I'm going to give you a cheap, inexpensive trick. Go to a place where they give you hot water. Ask them to add 2 ice cubes to it. So now it is warm water. Add a little bit of lemon juice, not lime juice, lemon juice to it, and add very little bit of honey. And here is your antiviral potion. So you can have it, and you will be able to have better immunity than everybody else around you. And the spices that you can use at that time, this time, very commonly that you can use is cilantro powder. I don't know how many of you use it. Turmeric you should be using. And I will also say, all these fries and donuts or anything fried, please stay away from that. And I did not make a slide, but I will suggest one thing. When you are eating any kind of fat, make sure that they are of higher quality. So what makes them higher quality? I will recommend eating cold pressed olive oil, if you have been eating olive oil. If you are from areas, think about it. What was the oil used traditionally in whichever ethnicity you're coming from? Whether it was sesame seed oil, whether it was peanut oil, or the canola, not the canola that you see here, the pure organic canola. So check out what kind of oils was traditionally used and where you ethnically come from. Use that. And use Ayurvedic ghee. Ayurvedic ghee is one of the best fats possible because it is the best tool to carry the medicine of the plants and herbs and trees into it. It impregnates it and it spreads it very evenly all over the body. It has the capabilities of crossing the blood-brain barrier. So ghee is one of the best things that you can use. So use that, and let me finish the afternoon, and dinner time also the diet should be very light. But I will suggest that Vata people who are lean and lanky, please do not eat salad at this time. So learn to make sprouts and include millet in your diet. And people who are Pitta, Vata, and kapha, most of people are still working from home. If you are, try to take an afternoon nap for 5 to 15 minutes. When I say nap is 5 to 15 minutes, not 2-3 hours. So if you have any questions, I can take.
Yes, Diptiji, there is one question.
Yeah.
Which oil would you recommend for a kapha prakruti person to apply to the body?
So it depends what season it is. So if you're prakriti, you are supposed to use in wintertime, best oil, believe it or not, is mustard seed oil. Second best oil is sesame seed oil. And in summertime, it is coconut oil and ghee. That is the best kind of lotions you should use. There are many lotions that teeny mini bottles costing $150. I've never used it. I mean, I bought it, I wanted to, but did not use it. So let me touch one very important part, like what can you eat? So I recommend organic fruits and vegetables. So buy small quantity, use all of it rather than we buy a lot and then we throw a lot. Use seeds and nuts in your diet, which is organic. And if you have to add protein, and the whole idea of where do you get protein is not at all true. We do not need so much of animal protein in our body. It is not true at all. All the research, if you see who has funded those researches. So use plant-based protein. There are plenty of them, and you do not need so much of protein. And the plant-based protein from sprouts and all, body absorbs it much better than animal protein. I will also recommend that if you, whatever culture that you come from, use fermented food from that. Like if you're Eastern European, use sauerkraut is a wonderful thing. Kefir is coming, kombucha is coming. And library has so many books nowadays. Go to your library, pick a book from your ethnicity about cooking, which is fermented food, good for your ethnicity. There are hundreds of books. So please go to your reference librarians and use it. If you come from Indian subcontinent, we have something called kanji vada, which is a fermented water made with darker carrots and mustard seeds and water, and it is left with salt for a few days into the sun, and then to that they add some sort of bean deep fried beans, a little bit of it to add more fermentation into it. And that really is the food for your gut. Any more questions? Did you answer that question? Okay. Sometimes I struggle with this screen, my computer. Okay. So now who should eat and what should not eat? Once again, this is a picture. So you will be able to remember, I have already mentioned who should eat what kind of food. And guys, you already asked what kind of oil should be applied. Use coconut oil if you have hot flashes. It will cool you. If you have women in menopause, perimenopause, coconut oil, ghee will really cool your whole system. And even for babies and seniors, I will recommend that you buy very high quality Ayurvedic oil. And if you want to know the sources, you can contact me and I can let you know about it. So if you notice when you go to a massage parlor, a spa, you get your whole body massage, but you leave your scalp alone. Do not. This is the most important part of your body. This is the CEO. You do whatever to the industry and not take care of the CEO, it's not going to go well. So we need to have these oil massages, scalp massages, so that whatever is getting depleted due to the dryness and all the harsh winter, by applying oil, you will balance. It helps people not to feel depressed. And once again, use plant-based oil for doing that. There are medicated ghritam or ghees, but you need to identify if you really need it. Now, there are a lot of therapies in Ayurveda that we offer even over here. So look at this therapy. It's the most amazing and right away puts you in a very happy mood and you just feel you sleep off, but you are not, but you really enjoyed it. This therapy is called Shirodhara. So if you see the part over the forehead, 2.5 liters of medicated oil based on your specific body condition is made. It takes a few days to make it. And it is kept at a specific temperature and it is moved over your forehead circles and some points are massaged to get that ultimate experience. And this is extremely good if you have a kid who is a teenager or anyone with mental conditions, depression, hyperactivity, ADD, ADHD, any kind of stress. It is an excellent technique for postpartum ladies. So please explore these therapies and do that. And then in Ayurveda, once again, if you see, if you have any condition of pain, the oil, the plant-based oil is used and it is covered at a specific place. And all those therapies, we do it over here, you can find out. Now, many of you must have forgotten, every culture had enema therapy, which we do not practice anymore. A few years ago, I heard about coffee enema, and I don't know what that is and why do they do it, but apparently it was giving them quick rejuvenation, so they were doing it. But enema is used in India for giving treatments without involving rest of the body. It is only one part of the rectum is used, and it is an amazing treatment if you have to take for any kind of mental conditions. So to treat this, enema is the best way to do. It is also used for babies because, they cannot take all the medication. It is given to seniors when the person becomes weaker and doesn't have the strength to digest and sustain the heavy medication or therapies. Enema is given in a very specific way. Many times it's a medicated water, many times it's a medicated oil, but you have to have a very experienced practitioner to do that. So what can you do at home? First and foremost, love yourself. Learn to massage yourself. Eat right. Don't go ahead buying purses, cars, or houses. Invest in your own body. Buy organic food. Find the organic places. Grow vegetables. And find an Ayurvedic place where you can get Ayurveda massages. And oh, by the way, if you go for massages, stop using that lotion that they're putting on your body. No. Because if you cannot eat, do not put it on your body because the whole organ is eating it. So instead of relaxing your body, you're handing over your body to pour toxins into you through chemicals. Who knows who made it from where? enroll into Ayurvedic cooking classes, because Ayurveda will tell you what spice to use at what time and what year. And I also have the suggestion for the books where you can, what kind of books your library should have. I really, really want, Ayurveda is extremely vast and very complicated subject. But Dr. Heber of easyayurveda.com has written some books which are very easy to read. David Frawley has a lot of books. It's written by a Western mind for the Western mind. So it is really good. And one book that I think we should have a lot of copies of is from one of my, now she's my friend, Marian Teitelbaum. She writes about healing the thyroid with Ayurveda. So that is really a good one that you should have. I see there are some questions.
Yeah, there is one question for Vata. What can you recommend spring allergies? My sinuses blow up, eyes water, etc. I had allergy tests, moles and dust mites are my worst enemies. I have 3 HEPA filters in house and clean all the time.
So for seasonal allergies, I did not show you a picture over here, but there is a treatment, there is a therapy which is called Nasya. So remember I was talking about that you put oil in your nose and it goes through your nose, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and then you inhale. So that is called Nasya. And what it does, and you don't have to go for the therapy. There are, find out what you are Vata type. So you should go to a practitioner, get that oil that is needed. You line your nose and you put a little bit of that oil, shake it, gargle it. So now you have coated your throat and your nose. Do it twice a day. So that is going to give you some reprieve from the seasonal allergies. And yes, allergies are a nightmare. What happened to me, I was caught unaware. I thought, oh, it's too early to use. There's a lot of snow still outside, so I did not plan ahead. But I did get that flu because of the seasonal allergies. It started with my throat. I wasn't prepared for it, so I got caught off guard. But these are the things that you can use, and do see a Ayurveda practitioner for that.
Dipti ji, how do you spell? Did you say Nasya?
Nasya, Nasya. It is a therapy. It's an Ayurvedic therapy.
We have another question. What would you recommend for Vayu dosha? I often wake up with heavy head in the morning.
First of all, Vata, you're talking about Vata dosha and heavy head. So these are some allergies that are going on and you're breathing and you are having those things. So I'll recommend you do neti, in which you put the neti pot. Try to wash your nose before you go to bed. It is a yoga kriya. So that is very good. And another yoga kriya that I will recommend is that, first of all, find an experienced yoga therapist. And then what they do is they make you drink some water in a rapid succession in a particular position, and then you vomit the whole water. So you cleanse your upper GI for that. And that removes the pressure from your upper GI. And the neti that you do, it's a yoga kriya. Is in Ayurveda, you should be doing Nasya, and you definitely need to check your diet. It could be that there's certain diet that you're using is not for you. I also see that there's a question, diabetes is imbalance of which dosha. It is a complex of all 3 doshas. So diabetes doesn't happen just because one dosha is vitiated or aggravated or in imbalance. It's a blend of a lot of things. And diabetes has to be identified. Like many people say, don't eat sugar, you'll get diabetic. No, that's not the case. Once you get diabetes, sugar is bad. But sugar is not the cause of diabetes. It's food of different kind. If you keep on eating a lot of fat, of course, it'll turn into fat. If you eat a lot of carbs, it'll turn in. And once you have fat, then you have a metabolic syndrome. And so the whole things come together. But there are methods, there are lifestyle changes that you need to do. And something called, you must have heard about keto diet, right? Keto is such a fad these days. In Ayurveda, it is called Snehapana. Snehapana is a very controlled method of medicated oils and ghees to be given. And what it does is it goes and removes the toxins and it deposits what needs for the body. So it's a very scientific technique. Aaron Roger of Green Bay Packers did it too. He went there and he got it done. He got that cleanse. So it is done in US. We do it in our center here as well, and in Hinsdale. So that has to be done so that you remove the toxins. And there are times in the season when you are supposed to do it. Any of the therapies will give you benefit, but at certain point of the year, certain time of the season, you have more benefit from the therapies that you do. More questions?
Gigi, there is one more question. What should I do to heal from gout problem?
Oh boy. First of all, check your diet. If you have any diet, like there are so many beans you cannot have, and tomatoes are definitely out. So for gout, you have to see what kind of body type you have out of those 10 types. And based on that, you change your diet, you do a little bit of different kind of therapies. And after those therapies, you also need to do some of the herbal treatments, like you need to take some herbal medication, herbal supplement as they are called, but they're very specific things. And I don't know what stage of gout you are. If you are diagnosed earlier, chances of arresting is much higher. But if you have like a decade to or 15, 20 years of gout, then it's a little difficult to manage, but it still can be managed. Anything that you see that has manifested in your body did not happen all of a sudden. It has taken years to reach and show result in your body. So coming back to some of the plant-based in your grocery store, do not buy things which are put on the shelf. Go buy things which are on the produce side, like buy the greenest, the cheapest fruits and vegetables which are organic. If they're very expensive, do not buy it. I recommend buying Ritu Phal, mean seasonal fruit. They're cheaper. They're also good for the body at this time of the season. Now I saw a lot of mangoes are coming up. So wait for some time. Don't start eating too many mangoes because it's still pretty cold outside. If you're living in Dallas, or go ahead, eat those mangoes. But wait for the temperature so that you can go out without a jacket. That is the time to eat mangoes. This is a time to eat berries. And those smoothies that you're drinking early in the morning, that is the worst thing that you can do to your system. Imagine you woke up and the fire inside you started kindling. The metabolism of different kind of fires in your body has started. What do? You give a humongous jar of smoothies, cold, anything that you fancied where you read, this is good, that is good. Those are all good. But do you know if it is good for you? And then you made it cold. So you put it. Drink warm water. Do not drink cold water at all unless it is 120 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Go ahead and have some cool drinks. But even in cold, have things which are cooling for your body, like opium, not opium, poppy seeds. The opium flower has poppy seeds. If you soak it, grind it, and you make a drink out of it, it's the most cooling for your body. So if you have any skin problem, any heat problem, poppy seed drink is very good. And if you, rest of the times, keep an electric kettle, drink warm water. Drinking cold water is cause of most of the inflammation in your body. Drinking tea and coffee, I don't know how to say it because I recently started drinking coffee. I used to vehemently, go against tea and coffee, but these days I am drinking a cup of coffee every now and then. But stay away from those habits if you can, because these are the things which take you away from the normal rhythm of circadian rhythm, because you will not be able to fall asleep. You will not be able to digest on time. You will have acid build up in your system. So if you must have some tea and coffee early in the, little after an hour or two after you wake up. And I don't know what everybody thinks. I think this whole thing about breakfast is very overrated. I do not think. I used to force my girls to eat breakfast. I had so many battles with it. But I know now that you don't need to eat breakfast if you don't must. If you're going on a laborious job and you can eat now and you're hungry, then I would say eat that breakfast. But if you're not hungry, don't force yourself. Do not eat as you drive. That is the worst thing you will do. People who eat as they drive will definitely have mental issues, if not today, down the line. I see some more questions. Do we have time?
Yeah, we have another question. Is it safe to fast for 9 days? Does fasting mean not eating anything? It's 8 o'clock. So we have a couple more questions.
What is the question?
Is it safe to fast for 9 days? Does fasting mean not eating anything?
I did my first water fasting when I was 8 years old, and I did it for 9 days. It needs a different kind of preparation for your body. My mother was an Ayurveda practitioner. I did it as a community event, and nothing happened to me. I still do it. My longest water fast, I did it in an ashram, was 35 days on water. You still do Real North or something. I forgot the name of the place. There is one doctor who heals all sorts of things by purely water fasting. So water fasting is an amazing tool to get rid of toxins from your body, but you need to know how to do it. Don't do it like you ate something fancy, like all you eat your country buffet tonight and tomorrow you're fasting. It's not going to work like that. It takes 4 weeks to prepare your gut. It takes your mind. It takes meditation. It needs community support. It needs family support. You cannot have like party going on in your house and then you expect not to eat and drink. It's not humanly possible. It is safe. I do it twice a year. I run groups with me who do water fasting, but there is a methodology to that. So doing it on your own, I do not recommend it. Not safe. But doing it in a group with a lot of support, I'll say go for it.
Okay. We have one more question. What causes hypothyroidism?
As I said, it is an imbalance of diet and lifestyle. So Ayurveda treats it in a very different way. So hypothyroidism is a very big topic, and the cause is lifestyle. And then it is, I don't think it is hereditary, because I don't see people having any kind of thyroid issue. If the mother had it, the daughter doesn't have it. So it doesn't run in the family. But many times you do notice that one person has it, the other person gets it too. It is the lifestyle followed by the family or the people.
Okay. One last question right now. What foods are bitter, astringent, and pungent that you refer to?
So there are a lot of lists that you can find. There are, I don't know if you have books on Ayurveda in your library. If you don't have Ayurveda books, please ask your librarians to get those books and please read them. So have Ayurveda books. It talks it in detail. Like I can say, sometimes you feel the taste in your tongue, but the aftertaste is different. Like I'll give you an example. When you are chewing on fennel seeds, it tastes different in your tongue. But if you inhale after that, you feel it very cooling. But when you're chewing it, it's pretty pungent. So it changes how the tongue perceives it. But aftertaste is very different. But to add those kind of things, I'll say spinach, arugula, kale, bitter gourd, Chinese bitter gourd. So many of them. And I think in fruits also, you have a lot of fruits which have a little bit of, like we don't get too many of them, what is bear here? The bale and bear. There are trees, like these are tropical fruits, which are bitter, little bitter. Excuse me, the jamun has a little bitter taste, but it has astringent taste in it too. So I will say, if you can ask your librarians to have these books that I've sent you in a list, and it has a list of it. And if you want a little more knowledge, I did a lot of studies with Dr. Heber. His website is easyayurveda.com. I have nothing to do with him. I have always used it. Millions of students all over the planet use that website as students of Ayurveda medicine medical program. So it is a very good site. You should learn a little bit about it. Find a Ayurveda practitioner and go, first of all, find out what kind of body type you have. Once you do that consultation, once you know the constitution, your practitioner will also give you a list. You can always contact me. You can get my contact information from your library. I don't know if it has been added here, but go see your Ayurveda practitioner. And I tell you, it's really joy. In the beginning, I was thinking that I don't remember anything. I won't be able to talk about it. But now I think I did not tell you anything about it. There were so many things that I wanted to talk about in this. Like so many, like how are you cooking? What's the sequence of your cooking? And what kind of soups are you eating? Are you using refined flour in your diet, or are you using raw ingredients? So Sangeeta ji, who works in your library, says that you do have Ayurveda books in your library. Please read them. It has, and there are some Chinese medicine books as well. I do not have authority about it. Yeah, that's a good idea about cooking someday. I do teach cooking classes online and everything, because you need to know how to cook. Your children, your teens should know how to cook. If they are dependent on DoorDash and Uber Eats, I'm telling you, you have your hands full. Kids are going to fall really sick. And it's not that in my household it doesn't happen. It happens in my household too. So this year, my younger daughter goes to college, but I won't let her go to college unless she learns to cook at least a dozen recipes from me. So wish me luck.
We don't have any more questions. It's 7 minutes past the hour. Dipti ji, what a great presentation. Thank you so much. As you see, the comments on our chat, people are really appreciating it. So thanks for your time. And if anybody does have any question, I did post on chat to send an email to Sangeeta S. Bhargava, and she will send you the presentation also. So thank you, and everybody have a great evening.
Thank you so much for coming and listening to this talk.